So today we are going to continue the Indian schools of psychology. The previous class we had actually talked about the Vedic school, the Upanishads, the Sankhya and the Yoga school. Today we will be talking the rest of the school. We are a part of both Astika and Nastika schools. So the next school, which is again an important part of the Indian psychological school, is the Mimamsa school. It talks about two kinds of knowledge, the direct and the indirect. The direct knowledge is what is acquired through the senses, the things we perceive through our senses, and it happens when our sense organs are functioning properly. But this sense organ, what it actually does is it only tells us that an object is present, some object is present, and not what it is, what the object is. It is giving some information that something is available, something material, some material is available, with the information of which is through reaching your senses. So this is the direct knowledge what you are acquiring through senses. And to know what the object is, we must interpret using indirect knowledge. What is this indirect knowledge? Indirect knowledge is nothing but the memories based on the past experiences, which helps us to come to a logical inference to determine the class to which the object belongs, the quality it has, and so on. So we actually go back to our past, we recall from the memory some of the information related to the object or related to the stimulus what we have received, and based on the information already available with us, we make a reference, and from this reference we come to a logical conclusion that this is what the object is. See, let us say if we want to identify a car has different shapes and different sizes and everything, but whenever there are four wheels with the body covered in a proper manner, we tend to identify it as car. If it is only three wheels, then we try to identify it as auto. So this is the difference. This is how the indirect actually knowledge has an impact on the direct knowledge, based on which we have a conclusive idea of what things are. This is what Mimamsa talks about. So what it also says is that we can gain knowledge with some phenomenon can be explained by postulating a hypothesis. The hypothesis is something what we actually decide based on some of the informations we have. Some of the conclusions we make subjectively based on the information we have. For example, if there is smoke, there should be fire, because fire is supposed to be the source of smoke. Sometimes our hypothesis can go wrong, because even if there is mist, again, there's a possibility that it is misinterpreted as smoke. So Mimamsa school describes 5 sources of knowledge. The 5 sources of knowledge according to Mimamsa school is, one is the inference. That's a conclusion reached based on evidence and reasoning. Whatever is the evidence available and whatever reasoning we can come across, based on which we come to a conclusion. Then comparison. In comparison, we notice two things and we try to understand both the stimulus based on the similarities and dissimilarities, how they are same and how they are different. Like the example what I told about car, a Maruti may differ from a Honda may differ from a Skoda. So the difference is very small, but basically it is a car. We can understand basically it is a car, but by comparison we find how it is similar and what are the ways it is different. So this is one of the methods of knowledge. Then testimony. Testimony is again the literature provided by eminent scholars, which has been proved through the experiences and through the knowledge of eminent people. So all these things is what we term as testimony. Then comes postulation. Postulation is a suggestion or assumption of existence of a fact or truth of something, which becomes the basis of reasoning, discussion, or belief. So this is what I explained earlier as hypothesis. And finally, non-perception. Non-perception is perceiving something beyond what is objectively available, tangibly, which you can understand or which you can perceive through your sense organ. So this is non-perception. The next is the Nyaya school. Nyaya school primarily focused on the evidence-based approach. Whatever any knowledge can be taken as a pure complete knowledge only if there is proper evidence to prove it. So this is what Nyaya school talks about. Nearly the scientific approach the modern school is talking about. What it talks about is you can acquire the proper knowledge whenever we are willing to probe and answer specific questions such as what is correct thinking and how can we come to know the reality. So for any stimulus that comes, Nyaya school says that you should first check what is the correct information and thinking what we need to adopt, and also how our thinking should help us to understand the reality. When we are able to think, process the information with these questions in our mind, then we can achieve liberation. Liberation is again status where you have complete self-realization, based on which you get liberated from the attachment towards materialistic world. Nyaya school had looked at only 4 valid sources of knowledge. The same thing which is relevant to the previous Mimamsa school, that is inference, comparison, testimony, and perception. But it has out the non-perceptual source of knowledge. Further development that happened in Nyaya school, invalid knowledge. So what is the invalid? What are the invalid knowledge? One is memory, the other is doubt, the third is false certainty or error, and finally the hypothetical argument. This first is memory. Memory in the sense sometimes what Nyaya school says is that we get carried away by our past memories rather than looking at any new information, any new stimulus in its original way. This is how memory can actually cloud our attainment of knowledge. Then comes doubt, wherever there are no clear indicators that would distinguish truth from illusion. So you can be carried away by illusion, carried away by doubt. So whenever somebody looks beautiful, immediately you judge their character to be good, or somebody you just you see somebody in a specific situation behaving in a nice way, immediately feel that the person is good. The third is false certainty. Now I can very well quote the example of this COVID-19, where there are a lot of testing which has been termed as false positive. False positive is the person does not have infection, but the person has been identified as or diagnosed for being infected. In the same manner, false negative also happens. False negative is wherever the person has infection, but at the same time, he has not been diagnosed for the infection. Finally, the concept of hypothesis, where your hypothesis can also go wrong. Then comes the Vaisheshika school. Vaisheshika school only recognize 2 sources of knowledge. The first is perception, the other is inference. It emphasizes on the 6 dimensions or padarthas of knowledge, which is substance, quality, activity, generality, particularity, and inherence. Substance is what is the actual stimulus that is available in its objectively what can be seen or what can be sensed. So that is the substance. The next is quality. What is the quality of this particular stimulus? The third is the activity. Activity is how this stimulus is functioning. What is the course of functioning of the stimulus? Okay, like when you hear a music, how the music flows. So that is the activity. Then comes generality. Generality is how this stimulus is similar to various other stimulus which is complementary to it. The third is particularity, how it is also different from the similar from other stimulus which has got the same qualities. So this is particularity. And finally, inherence. What is the source. What are the 6 dimensions of understanding or acquiring the knowledge which has been given by Vaisheshika school? So Vaisheshika school describes that the substance is a material in which quality or action can exist. So without a substance, without a objective presence of anything, any material, a quality or action cannot exist. So it is more focusing on the tangible, observable stimuluses. Then what it says is that there are 9 primary substances, which is the earth, water, light, air, ether, time, space, soul, and mind. So these are the 9 substances, primary substances, based on which every functioning happens. So this is the information from Vaisheshika school. The next is the Vedanta school. The Vedanta school has 3 primary sub schools, which is Advaita Vedanta, Visishtadvaita, and Dvaita. So the goal of Vedanta is to discover the real self, what you are actually present in a particular situation. What is your real self in a particular situation? It focuses on, in some way, how you can connect yourself with the universal self, that is the ideal self. Your ideal self is the pure self, what the highest qualities with which you want to exist, which you want to live. The real self is how you are behaving in a particular situation. What Vedanta says, it can be done by controlling your lower self or impulses through study and meditation. Nastika school, primarily we have got Buddhism, Jainism, and Lokayata, which is a part of Nastika school. What Buddhism said was that everything has a cause. So whatever is happening in this universe, there's a cause behind it. So this is what the first thought of Buddhism is. And the next important thought was that desire is the cause for all evil. That is, desire for worldly things is the cause for all sufferings. So if only we can understand that the worldly desires are the cause of suffering, we will not be holding on to it, and we will be working towards self-realization or understanding things in a realistic, proper way, and we travel towards our ideal self. We actually connect to our ideal self. The self-realization happens through that. So this is what Buddha's school says. But most of the time, we are actually ignorant. We are not actually focused. We have never even try to understand that desire is actually causing the problem. What Buddhism school talked about was achieving liberation from suffering. That is, how you can overcome suffering is through awareness of these truth that desire is the cause, and also abstinence from worldly desire. How you are going to be absent from focusing on the worldly desire. So Buddhism school actually talked about eightfold noble path to achieve this. That is right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. So see, these are the methods. If you practice, you will be able to attain self-realization. One of the controversial point of Buddhism school was that it did not give enough importance to the female gender. So in fact, in a way, it tried to project that females are also a source of desire. In most of the schools, other schools are tried to focus on human beings in general without any gender bias, but Buddhism had a gender bias. So that was the weakness, that was the drawback in the Buddhist. Then what we can know from the, just like the material world through perception, we can also understand our inner world through our soul, the ideal self through inner perception, just like we perceive pain and pleasure. So what Jainism school talks is that it is not what happens outside the environment that decides what you are feeling. It is the inner perception. So whatever may be painful to few can be a pleasure to you because you perceive it as pleasure. Whatever may be bad to others, it may feel good about it because it's the inner perception about it is different from others. So because there's an inner perception that decides how you feel anything, in the same manner, inner perception also can help you to identify your ideal self. So this is what Jainism school talks about. It also says that consciousness is not a material through inference. Consciousness is not identified from through some process of inference or reasoning or evidence. In fact, consciousness is a part of every matter. Without consciousness, these matter just exist like bodies or objects without life. What it says is that the sensual desires can be overcome by right contact. Right contact is abstinence from injury to other life, from lying, from stealing, from sensual indulgence, and from attachment to earthly objects. Jainism school also talks about attaining infinite knowledge and power when it is liberated from the desires related to materialistic things. One of the most practical schools is the Lokayata school. What it says is that it only believes in what is tangent, what is physically what can be perceived. So Lokayata school, what it says is that perception is the only valid source of knowledge, and all other sources are like testimony and inference are unreliable. All other things, what you come across, what you come through testimony, what you come through inference, through it is not, it is unbelievable because it can be more of an individualistic thought. It cannot be a generalized thought. In fact, this is something very relevant to the modern school of science. The modern science is taking whatever you can feel, whatever you can perceive in tangible manner can be only accepted as truth, and also what can be generalized to all the population can be only accepted as the ultimate truth. So this was the theory given by the Lokayata school. What it says is that perception reveals that the material is made of only 4 elements. All the materials in the world is made of only 4 elements: the air, fire, water, and earth. It also says that the minds and consciousness are also a product of matter. The soul, the God, the afterlife could not be perceived. So those things does not exist. So whatever cannot be perceived in the normal human senses, whatever cannot be perceived through a normal human experience, all those things cannot be accepted as the knowledge, as valid knowledge. It also says that the only purpose of life is to enjoy pleasure and avoid pain. One of the important theories of Lokayata is that it believed in accidentalism. Accidentalism is that the world is ruled by chance and there is no fixed cause-effect relationship. So for everything that is, you cannot determine a cause-effect relationship. The source and the cause for the same happenings may be different during different times and different situations. So this is again challenging the modern theory. The cause-effect relationship cannot be determined in everything as uniform and universal because it may change according to different time and different situation. This is the biggest challenge that even our modern science facing. Whenever they try to establish a cause-effect relationship, when the conditions change, the relationship also changes. So one of the major groups of Lokayata school, scholars of Lokayata school were naturalists. They believed that things moved and transformed because of the inherent nature, according to the lawful necessary. So there are some inherent nature in people or objects, and it transforms according to the necessity. Lawful necessities, according to the needs, according to the situations, it transforms. That is how the change happens. So the fundamental guiding principle of any object is, or any human being is, the name is his nature, what is known as Swabhava. So these are the schools of psychology.